Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masechtas Menachot daf Kuf Dalid. We are going to begin on Kuf Dalid Amud Aleph by the Mishnah. So we're now going to learn about the donations of a lug of wine, and we know that when it comes to a kevas, it's 3 lug. When it comes to an aisle, 4 lug. When it comes to a par, 6 lug in our bra. So ein misnadvin lug shnayim b'chamisha. For that reason, since the only options are 3, 4, and 6, so even when you decide on your own to want to give a lug, it can't be 2, it can't be 5. Of a misnadvin shloisha v'arba v'shisha. And of course you can do 3, 4, and 6 because 3 corresponds to the keves, 4 to the aisle, and 6 to the par. And you can go even above that because you can do 7. Why 7? Because you have a 4 and a 3. Why can you go 8? Because you have a 4 and a 4, right? You can just, and how can you go bring 9? Because you have 6 and 3, right? So you can always figure that out. Let's look at Rashi. So ein misnadven lug yayin when this chay shometzinu minchas nesachim shel lug. Whenever find you bringing 1 lug of oil, v'lo shnayim or 2, v'lo chamisha, never 5. Of a misnadvin shloisha dechazol keves v'arba la'ayil dehi shlisha sahin v'shisha dechazol apar. Mishisha l'mala, as we said, it could always fit. Says the Gemara, iboyhu yesh keva nesachim o ein keva when the sachim. Must they be brought together as one, or can they be brought in parts? Says Rashi, Oimer Hariel lai kach v'kach lugin. I want to bring a certain amount of lugin. Mi havi kava shein yachol lakrivam el hakol b'yachad. You have to bring them all together. Da havi karvi b'carbon echad, like 1 carbon. O ein keva v'yachol lakrivam madachazu b'api nafshayu. And you could split it up, right? So that's the question. So, hey chidami, what are we talking about? Going to IC chamisha. Let's say you have 5. Now, you're not supposed to bring 5, right? So this is an nafkimina. Iyamr in kevel nesachim. If you want to tell me in kevel nesachim, namely that it cannot be split up, so mashech umakri of arba minayhu the chazil ayil. So what you could do is you'll bring 4. V'idach havin nedava, and then the 5th one will be as a nedava. Now v'yamrit yesh kavol nesachim, that it has to be all together ad mamalahu karvi, until you get to 6 lug, you can't be makrabit. Says Rashi, nedava sibor v'yimcha v'yipul demei l'shayfaros. So what you could do is just donate 1 into the shayfaros, into the tzedakah. Or Yaakov hu atzmo v'yisar v'masheni hashnei lugin acherim. Maybe you can combine it with 2 other lug. So my. So Amar Abaye Tashma Shishel Nadava. It says that there were 6 out of the 13 shofaros, which was basically tzedakah boxes. They all serve different purposes. The Gemara in Shkolim discusses. Like there was one for they put the tikkun a tikkun and the tikkun chadatin, the new shekels for the month of Nisan, the new year, the old ones. V'amrin and keneged me. Why did we say that there's 6 out of the 13? So we say keneged meiser chatos. For example, Rashi says you're mafresh money for a carbon chatos, and then it went down into value, and now you have extra money. So you thought it was going to cost a certain amount of money, and now that you bought the carbon, you have extra money. Umarsar shamos. So that was put in these shofaros. Umaser asham nazir, umaser asham atzayra, umaser kinin for the birds, umaser minchas chayte. Now v'im isa, if we're saying that you can just split it up and put the other one in the shofar, so liskin shofar achrina keneged ma'aser nesachim, right? So you can just say, well, instead of you have 5, okay, you have to get to a 6. No, if let's say all you have is 5. So you could makriv 4, and then the other one you can put into like moiser nesachim. Obviously, there is no moiser nesachim, so you can't do that. So hanach l'nadava sibrazli. they actually go to the Nadava Sibor. So Hani Shchichi, the Nesachim, which are common, Evshim Starfe, Damar Bahadi Adadi, Vikarbi, because it's Shchiach that there's a lot of these monies around. Says Rashi, Hani Nesachim Lamul Hu Shaifer. However, Shchiach Kol Yom, it's all the time people are bringing the Nesachim. Shari Rev Karbonos Tun and Nesachim, so you can just combine with someone else. So there's no need to put into a shofar, and then for some time in the future when someone needs an Ashim Mitzayra, whatever. No, it's not necessary because it's common anyway. So that's the explanation. Fine. So we don't really have an answer yet. So Amar Rabbi Tashma, Ezrach, the pasuk says Ezrach, this is referring to the Nesachim. Malamid Shemis Nadvin Nesachim. It tells you that you can give as the Nadav Nesachim. But common, how much? Shleshus lugin. It's got to be at least 3. Menayin Sheim Ratzul Hoysev Yosef. If you want to do more than 3 lug, you could. Talmud Lemer, yeah. Yachal Yivchos. So maybe you can do 2 or 1. Talmud Lemer Kacha. So it can't be 1 or 2. It can be 3, and it can be more than that. Which is mashma even 5. Ma Yosef Elim Arba Vishisha, Maishna Shloisha the Chazal Keves Arba Vishisha, Nami Chazal Ayl Par. So that's not a chiddush. Elav Chamisha, the whole point that you could add, you can maybe even up to 5. Or we're saying 5 does work. V'shmamina in Kevel Nesachim. Shmamina. So it's Taka Raya that it's true in Kevel Nesachim. So you could have split it up, done the 4, and then the other one you can give her as combined with someone else. Question 9. Ma nafkimina de boy yesh Kevel Nesachim. So we end up saying if we're misnaded 5 lugin, so if you could be makriv it's separately, so do 4, and the rest will be for Nadava. But if you can't split it up until you get 6, then it's a problem because you only have 5. And the answer is the in Kevel Nesachim, which basically means that you could give the 4 and then give the other one as extra. Question TA23, same question. Ma nidoin im yesh Kevel Nesachim. Is oifen Iri, same question. Habasnadiv Chamisha lug, that's 5, which again is not the number that we're looking for. So yesh Keva Sarachos of Shish, you have to add another one to get to be fit to a par. But if it's not, you could be makruv just a 4, and the 5th could be the extra 1 will be as a nadav. And we say that's taka the truth. That's what we do. That's TA23. TB 26, same question. So let's just mark that down. TB 26. I'm not even going to read what I wrote. Maybe I should. Let me read what I wrote. Im Nader 5. Ve'en zeh shayach l'chol habehemos. Im yachol hasiv until 6. Im sarich. O Dilma lo chayiv klal. No. Dilma maybe dalid the echad yoter notain l'nedava. Umaskana in Kevel Nesachim. Okay. That was pretty close. Alright, let's keep on moving. So Shmamina. Ravashi, v'ha'anan lo tananachi. We didn't learn that. Look at our Mishnah. It says, Ein misnav lug shtayim v'chamisha. It says, before you can't do it. Katani chamisha dumid shtayim. Ma shtayim lo chazu klal. Av chamisha nam lo chazu klal. What do you mean? You can't do it at all. You cannot do 2, you can't do 5. How can you tell me, you can do 5, just do 4 and the last one will be in the double? What do you mean? You can't do that. So midi area, hakadisa vakisa. It's not true. Maybe 2 you can't do at all, but the 5, after again you did the 4 and then the other one is in the double, it's fine. So by imtim solaymer in Kevel Nesachim, which we're saying, which is the case, that you could do the 4 and have the extra one as the dava, if that's the case, ha in Kevel Nesachim, imtim solaymer in Kevel Nesachim, ha in Kevel Nesachim, imtim solaymer yesh Kevel Nesachim. If taka, therefore it has to be the exact amount. Ad asara, pshitali, up until 10, it's pashit, says Rashi. 1 lug and 2 and 5, with gamri lug karvi. You can't be makriv until you get to 3. It'll be fit for the keves, 4 for an aisle, 6 for the par. 7 could be a keves and an aisle because it's 4 and 3. Ches, because it could be 2 ale and 4 and 4. Tes for a par, and 6 and 3. Okay, so and that's how it basically works for all of them. So until 10, shitali. Achad asar. Once I get to 11, and again we have the numbers 3, 4, and 6. So why can't you just do 4, 4, and 3? Miboili. My gavril shnei parim kol mechaven. The question is 12 could be 6 and 6, 2 parim, 6 and 6. The ad mamalahu will carving, so you need to get to 12. Well, dilmul shnei elim, the keves echad k'mechaven, which is 4, 4, and 3. For shnei elim, the keves, right? So shnei elim is 3 and 3, 6, and an aisle is 4. It's 10, right? So trei machad minei v'chad machad mina amrinan olul mani teku. Okay, says next Mishnah. Misnadav yayin. As we saw, you could give yayin as a gift. Says Rashi, below shemen v'soyos. It has no oil or flour. Umin chasai l'shisin b'fnei atzma, because it's poured into the part of the mizbech called the shitin. Ve'en misnadvin shemen, but not oils. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says Rashi, why? You can't bring it without sos and yayin. It can't, because yayin can be given the avoda is by itself anyway. However, when it comes to oil, you can't give it because the oil is never by itself because it's mixed together with something. Reb Tarfon Eimer misnadvin shemen. You technically could. So Reb Tarfon mamatzin b'yayin shehu b'chayv b'nadava madach. When it comes to, he's going to try to explain himself why it works. It can come as an obligation or as a nadava. Av shemen shehu b'chayv b'nadava. So therefore, it should work. So Amar Rabbi Akiva lo. Imamarta b'yayin shekin karavim chavas b'fnei atzmo. Because again, it goes directly into the shisim by itself. Taimer b'shemen shein karavim chavas b'fnei atzmo. It's mixed together with the flour. So fine. Ein shnai misnadvin misar nechad. 2 people cannot bring 1 isaron. Av misnadvin oil v'shlomim v'oif afil preda achas. However, a person can misnadv an oil v'shlomim and oif even from the same preda. Says Rashi, afil goizel echa misnadvin. Says the Gemara. So Rava mediri shneihim nilmaid, from both of them we can learn misnadiv adam minchas nesachim b'chol yoyim. A person could tactically bring a minchas nesachim all day. How do we see that? Says Rashi, which is minchas nesachim is soilus shemen v'yayin below carbon. Minchas nesachim, there's no carbon. You're just bringing a flour offering with oil and wine. B'chol yoyim de'ad kan lo pligi el b'fnei atzmo. The question is, can you bring the oil itself? If it's mixed together, then it's allowed. So everyone holds that you could bring a minchas nesachim anytime. The question is, can you bring the oil by itself? It's only these 5: soilus, machvas, marcheshes, chalos, or kikin, but nothing else. Kamashmuan hanimili b'stama. That's only if you say stam. If you don't make a decoration, then stam is going to be one of those 5 things. The parish, but if you specified that it could be for the sachim, then it'll work. Ein shnai misnadvin. 2 people cannot be misnadvin for a mincha together. So my timer, ilim mishum nechsev tikrib oila takriv, that you should be makriv it, which is a lashon yachid. So oila nami. Also, when it comes to carbon oil, haksiv yakrib. So what's the difference? Ella, the reason is so oil in my time and haksiv lo seichem, which is a lashon rabbim. So mincha nami haksiv lo moadechem, which is mashma lashon rabbim. El mishum haksiv nefesh. Nefesh by mincha says nefesh, which is lashon yachid. So it has to be your own. Tani Mihachi, Rabbi Yomer, the pasuk says, "Asher Yakriv Karban Olachol Nidrehem Olachol Nidvaisam Asher Kriv Hashem." Hakol Boyim B'Shutvus. They can all come in partnerships. Lo Sil Kakosov El Mincha. It's only the remove with regard to a mincha that you can't because shenemer nefesh. The Torah never talks about any other gifts. The word nefesh. Why by a mincha? So beautiful thought. Amar Kodesh Baruch Hu. Mi darkol havi mincha ani. Who's the person who brings a mincha? Someone who can't afford, right? So it's a poor person. So malani alav kil hikriv nafshol afanai. It's like he brought his nefesh. Right? So even though it's true, he may not have brought a lot, but nonetheless, if he brought everything, he brought his soul. And therefore, God views upon it in a very fashionable manner. Amar Yitzchak Manish Tanis Mincha Shnemer Ba Chamisha Mini Tigon. How come it mentions 5 different preparations? Soilis Machvas Marcheshes Chalas Rakikin the Minchas Ma'afe Kol Midid Ispe Shemin Kori Tigoin. Hello. So Mashal Melech Basabdam a king. She'asal Ohav Suda. He makes his people that love him make a beautiful party for him. However, the king knows Shu'ani, the guy's poor, he can't afford anything. So Amaloi says, Asile min chamishimini tigoin. Just bring for me these 5 grains, Kidei she'ena mimcha, and I'll get hana from you, and that will be acceptable. I don't need anything fancy. I just want a relationship with you. Okay, we'll stop there. Question 10. Basic carbon nichta batar nefesh, which of course is the carbon mincha, which means it cannot come b'shutvus. Okay, good. Question TA 24. Oimer parashni mincha. Okay. TB 27. Haralai mincha. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer yavi mincha soiles shem yuchedes. My yuchedes. That we'll see in the next parak. Hanulach Hamanachos Hamanasachim Hanulach Hamanachos Hamanasachim Hanulach Hamanachos Hamanasachim. We are now finally going to venture into, I believe this is the last parak. We only have a few blot left. Hariolai Isaroin. A person says, I'm bringing an Isaroin Yavi Echad. He brings one. Esrainos means Yavi Shnaim. We'll see tomorrow. Adkan.